Trevor shoved the old black man so violently that his cane clattered across the shiny marble and slid all the way to the velvet rope line. The elderly man stumbled, arms flailing for balance, almost falling face-first onto the floor. Gasps erupted from shoppers. A few even stepped backward as if they had just seen a crime. But Trevor, the security guard, a tall white man with a shaved head and a smirk he probably practiced in the mirror, didn't even blink. "Yeah, that's right," Trevor barked. "Oh, I told you 10 times already. You don't come in here begging for things you can't afford." The old man steadied himself, breathing hard. His hands trembled slightly, skin dark and wrinkled from years under the sun. His jacket was old but clean. His shoes were worn but well kept. And in his eyes, deep brown, heavy with stories, was confusion, not fear. "I wasn't begging," the old man said quietly. "I only asked to see the watch in the corner case. That's all." Trevor laughed, loud and ugly. "Sir, this is a luxury store. Not a museum. These watches cost more than your rent, assuming you even have a home." A couple browsing handbags exchanged uncomfortable looks. The old man lifted his chin, trying to keep his dignity. "Young man, you don't know anything about me." "And I don't need to," Trevor snapped back. "I can tell what you are." Something in the air froze. The room's entire energy shifted. People sensed what Trevor meant. And the old man did too. His jaw tightened. But he didn't curse. Didn't yell. Didn't resist. Instead, he reached for his cane, picked it up slowly, and brushed it off with gentle hands, hands that didn't look weak, but tired. Strong once, maybe still strong, just hidden behind years. He turned to leave quietly, but then he stopped. Just like before, his eyes landed on something on the wall. A portrait. A large, beautifully lit portrait near the store's center, of a younger black man dressed sharply in a charcoal suit, standing next to a gleaming watch prototype. The old man stared at it so long and so still that people began whispering. Trevor rolled his eyes. "Oh, spare me. Don't act like you know that guy." The old man didn't reply. He simply whispered to himself, so soft that only the nearest customer heard it. "That photo shouldn't be here." The customer frowned. "Why not?" But the old man didn't answer. He took one last look at the portrait, shook his head in what looked like heartbreak, and walked out the door, with slow, painful steps. Trevor shoved the glass door closed behind him and muttered loudly, "Should have stayed where you belong." A woman gasped. A man shook his head. But nobody confronted Trevor. Nobody except Mia. Mia, the new hire behind the watch counter, had watched everything. She felt heat creeping up her neck as anger simmered in her chest. "Trevor, that was uncalled for," she whispered. He shot her a warning glance. "Watch yourself, rookie. I know who belongs here." And he didn't. She wanted to argue more, but she bit her tongue. She was 23, barely keeping up with rent, and she needed this job. Trevor smirked at her silence. "Good girl." Her fingertips curled into fists around her polishing cloth. 15 minutes passed. The store regained its calm, soft orchestral music, the faint scent of cologne, the low chatter of wealthy customers. But something felt wrong. Even customers who hadn't seen the incident felt it in the air, like the store itself was holding its breath. Then it happened. The doors opened again. And this time, everyone turned. A man in a tailored charcoal suit stepped inside, the district manager. Behind him were two corporate executives dressed like they walked straight out of a board meeting. Trevor immediately straightened his uniform. "Sir, I wasn't informed you were coming. If I had known." "Enough," the manager snapped, brushing past him. But before Trevor could swallow his ego, someone else walked in behind the executives. The old man. Except now he wasn't leaning on his cane. He wasn't trembling. And he wasn't overshadowed. He walked in tall, straight, purposeful. And the instant he stepped under the store's golden lights, something in his posture changed. He looked powerful, like he belonged there more than anyone in the room. Trevor's eyes widened. What is he doing back here?" "I told him." The district manager raised a hand sharply. "Trevor." Not another sound. The old man's eyes lifted to the portrait again, the one that looked like a younger version of him. He walked directly to it. The crowd held their breath. The old man lifted his hand and touched the bottom of the frame. "This," he said quietly, "was taken the night we opened our first store." Trevor blinked. "What do you mean we?" No one answered. The district manager motioned for all employees to gather. Everyone came. Mia stood beside the counter, heart racing. Trevor hovered near the front, arms tense, trying to hide the fear creeping up his throat. The manager cleared his throat and addressed the room. "I want everyone here to listen carefully," he said, his voice firm but heavy. "This man is not just a customer." The old man didn't smile, didn't bask, didn't demand attention. He stood still, silent, dignified. "This," the manager said slowly, "is Mr. Horace Devlin." A ripple of shock moved through the room. Even the shoppers paused in place. Because that name, Devlin, Valorian Devlin Luxury Group. The Devlin in the brand name. Mia's eyes widened. Trevor's mouth opened, but no words came out. The manager continued. "Mr. Devlin isn't just the face on our wall. He is the co-founder of Valorian and the original designer of our most iconic timepieces." The store erupted in whispers, gasps, disbelief. Trevor stepped back. No, that can't be true. He looked black. Mia said sharply. Trevor swallowed hard. But the old man finally turned, looking at him. Not angrily. Not bitterly. Just with a deep, tired sadness. "You looked at me, son," Horace Devlin said softly, "and you didn't see a founder. Or a designer. Or a businessman." He let the word sink in. "You saw something else." Trevor's face turned pale. "I didn't know who you were," he stuttered. "If I knew." "That's the point," the old man said gently. "You should treat every person with dignity. Not just the ones you think are worth something." Trevor's chest heaved. I didn't mean." "Racism rarely announces itself," Horace said quietly. "It shows up in moments like today." The silence that followed felt heavy enough to crush the ceiling. Horace reached into his coat, pulled out a black document sleeve, and handed it to the district manager. The manager opened it. "Read 3 lines." Then his eyes widened. He turned to Trevor. "Effective immediately," he said, "your employment is terminated." Trevor stumbled back. Fired? For what? I didn't know he was." "Irrelevant," the manager said sharply. "Your behavior was unacceptable toward anyone. Especially the man who built this company." Trevor's hands shook. "Please, sir, you can't." But the manager wasn't listening anymore. Horace Devlin was already walking toward the watch counter. Toward Mia. He stopped beside her. "You spoke up," he said gently. "That takes courage." Mia swallowed, barely able to breathe. "I just said the truth, sir." "That's all this place needs," he whispered. Then he turned toward the portrait again. And this time, everyone saw it. The pain in his eyes. The betrayal. The years of watching his own brand lose the values he built it on. He whispered softly, "This company forgot the soul I gave it." No one dared speak. Trevor stood in the corner, shaking, humiliated, everything he thought he controlled collapsing in minutes. But this was only the beginning. Because Horace Devlin hadn't come back just to fire a guard. He came back to uncover something much, much bigger. The store stayed frozen even after Horace Devlin finished speaking. It felt like time itself had tightened around everyone's shoulders. A few customers pretended to browse again, but their eyes were still glued to the old man, the co-founder, the black man who was pushed out like trash minutes earlier. Trevor stood rigid, staring at the floor, face red with shame and fear. Mia tried to focus on the counter, but her heartbeat wouldn't slow down. Her hands trembled so badly that when she picked up a watch, she almost dropped it. Horace Devlin noticed. "You all right, young lady?" She blinked. "Why, sir? I'm fine." "No need to call me sir." His voice was gentle. "Horace is fine." But calling him by his first name felt like calling a storm cloud cute. He had a quiet presence that demanded respect, not through power, but through history. Through pain. through everything he'd survived to stand here again. The district manager, clearly nervous, stepped closer. "Mr. Devlin, if you'd like, we can take you to the VIP lounge. You don't have to stand here in the crowd." Horace didn't move. He kept looking around the store, slowly, intentionally, like a man walking through the ruins of something he once loved. "This store," he said softly, "used to feel different." The manager swallowed. "We've updated some policies." "Policies?" Horace repeated. "Or priorities?" He turned toward the sales counters. "Where are the employees who used to greet every customer with respect? Where are the security guards who were trained to identify behavior, not skin color?" His voice was quiet, but the words hit hard. The manager couldn't respond. Trevor flinched. Mia wanted to disappear. Horace walked toward the center of the store, each step slow but filled with purpose. "I built this brand with a vision," he continued. "Not just for wealth. Not just for prestige. I built it because I wanted to show that quality, craftsmanship, art, could come from people like me. People who were told all their lives they weren't good enough." He looked at the portrait again. "That photo was taken the night we launched our first watch. I worked on that design for 3 years. 3 years of rejection. 3 years of hearing I was too old, too black, too unrefined." He paused. "But I made it. We made it. And now..." His eyes hardened. "This store treats black customers like intruders." The silence hit like thunder. A customer near the door shifted uncomfortably. Another gently closed the handbag she was pretending to browse. Trevor took a step forward, anger creeping into his voice. Look, I said I didn't know who he was, okay? I didn't know he was some big-shot founder." Horace turned his head slightly. "And if I wasn't?" he asked softly. Trevor froze. "Tell me," Horace continued, "would you have treated any black man with respect? Or do you only apologize now because of my name on that plaque?" Trevor didn't answer. He couldn't, because the answer was obvious. Horace shook his head slowly. "I've seen men like you my entire life. You don't protect stores. You protect your own prejudices." Trevor flinched as if the words had slapped him. The district manager stepped in quickly, voice stern. "Trevor, you need to gather your belongings and leave the premises. Immediately." Trevor snapped, voice trembling with humiliation. "You're firing me because of one mistake?" Mia stepped forward. "One mistake? You shoved an old man. You humiliated him. You laughed at him. And you told him he didn't belong," another customer added. Trevor spun around. "Oh, now everybody's a witness? Where were you when it happened, huh? You didn't say a word." The customer shrank back. Horace looked at Trevor with the saddest expression yet. "That's the problem. People like you count on silence." Trevor opened his mouth, and then closed it again. He looked around the store, at the employees avoiding his eyes, at customers whispering, at the executives staring at him like a stain on the carpet. His chest heaved. His fist shook. For a moment he looked like he might lash out. But he didn't. He turned sharply and stormed toward the staff door, shoulders stiff, eyes burning. The room didn't relax even after he was gone. If anything, everything felt heavier. The district manager exhaled shakily. "Mr. Devlin, please accept our deepest apologies. I assure you, the company had no idea." Horace raised a hand. "Please don't insult me." The manager froze. "You knew," Horace said quietly. "Maybe not about today. But you knew how your staff treated certain customers. I've received letters for years. Complaints. Stories." The manager's face paled. "The question," Horace said, "is why nothing changed." A quiet gasp spread through the crowd. Mia's heart pounded. The executives shifted uncomfortably, like they wanted to disappear into the walls. Horace looked around again. "This store is not the company I helped create." He turned to the district manager. "What happened to the security cameras?" The manager blinked. "See cameras? They're fully functional." Horace didn't look convinced. "Are they?" he asked softly. "Let's check." He began walking toward the rear hall where the security room was located. The district manager hurried after him, flustered. "We can review anything you want, sir. But..." Not but, Horace said. Just show me. Mia felt a chill slide down her spine. Whatever Horace was looking for, it wasn't just today's footage. Something else was wrong. She followed at a distance, heart racing. Several customers followed too, curious and whispering. The executives exchanged glances, then trailed after them nervously. When they reached the hall, Horace stopped. He pointed at a camera mounted high in the corner. That one. The district manager nodded and scribbled something on a clipboard. Yes, that's camera 7. It covers the entire front entrance area. Horace's eyes narrowed. Then why didn't it capture the last 5 incidents? The manager froze. Mia sucked in a breath. Incidents? Plural? One of the executives stepped forward cautiously. Mr. Devlin, what incidents are you referring to? Horace reached into his coat again. Pulled out another document. This time a stack. He handed them to the executive. These, Horace said, are complaints from 5 black customers who were thrown out of this store in the last 6 months. 6 months. The executive swallowed hard. Horace tapped the top sheet gently. None of their footage exists. Because this camera, he tapped the device on the ceiling, was malfunctioning every single time. A wave of horror rolled through the hallway. The manager stammered, I didn't. Those were, someone must have. Horace stared into his soul. Someone disabled the system. And whoever did it intentionally. The crowd murmured. Mia's skin prickled with unease. Horace continued walking toward the security room. Let's see today's footage, he said, and find out what else your cameras conveniently missed. They reached the door. The manager fumbled with his keys. But Horace paused. His eyes were locked on the camera feed through the small window in the door. He squinted, then stepped closer. A long moment passed. The hallway felt like a vacuum. What is it? Mia whispered. Horace exhaled, slow and controlled. The screen, he said. Why is it black? The manager paled. It shouldn't be. He unlocked the door quickly and swung it open. The security monitors inside flickered. But every screen, every feed, every camera, disabled. What? Horace's face tightened, not with anger. With certainty. I knew it, he murmured. There's something rotten inside this store. The executives rushed in, panicking. What happened to the footage? Who accessed the system? Is it corruption? The manager sputtered. I swear, I don't know. Security logs. Someone must have, oh God. Horace turned slowly toward the hallway where Trevor had walked minutes ago. And in that moment, Mia realized something. Trevor wasn't just a racist guard. He was a guard hiding something. Something much bigger than prejudice. And Horace Devlin. He had come not only to expose racism, he had come to dismantle a secret. A secret Trevor was willing to shove an old man to protect. Because now Trevor wasn't just fired. He was dangerous. And he wasn't gone. Not yet. Horace Devlin didn't flinch at the blacked-out screens. Instead, he straightened his back, eyes sharp, calculating. This isn't just about a single guard, he said, voice low but deadly. This is systemic. And it ends today. The district manager stammered, Yes, sir, we can. Don't talk, Horace interrupted. His gaze pierced through him like a blade. I've spent decades building a company, a brand, a legacy. And you let it rot. You let people like Trevor run your floor with prejudice. And worse, you covered it up. Trevor. That name alone made the air heavy. He had disappeared out of sight for a moment, but Horace didn't need him in view. He could feel his presence. Could feel the tension in the building. Mia's hands gripped the counter. She knew what was coming next. Horace had built his reputation not just on design, but on justice. He motioned for the security team to come closer. 2 young guards approached nervously. I want the logs from all cameras, Horace ordered. Every access. Every deletion. I want to know who tried to erase history. The guards exchanged glances. One whispered something inaudible to the other, but Horace's eyes caught it. Say it, he commanded. Those. Trevor, the younger guard admitted, voice shaking. He tampered with the footage. Said he was keeping things under control. Horace's jaw tightened. Under control? His hands flexed into fists. You mean under his bias? The words reverberated in the luxury store like a storm breaking over marble. Customers stared, employees froze, and Trevor didn't even know where to hide. At that moment, Trevor stepped out of the back, face pale, chest heaving. I was doing my job, he yelled, almost desperate. I didn't know. He was you. Horace turned slowly to him, expression calm but deadly. You knew who you were disrespecting, Trevor. You see, respect isn't earned by fear or by uniform. Respect is given to every human being, regardless of color, age, or wealth. And you failed that test. Trevor stuttered, trying to find a defense, but the weight of his actions crushed him. I didn't. Shut up, Horace said quietly. You've said enough. Mia's eyes darted between Horace and Trevor. She could see it in Trevor's face, the realization that his career, his pride, and his freedom were evaporating. Horace stepped closer, voice low, but every word hit like steel. I'm going to teach you a lesson about consequences, he said. Not because I want revenge, but because this behavior cannot be allowed. Not in my store. Not in my brand. And not in this world. Trevor swallowed hard, sweat running down his temples. He could barely speak. What do you mean? Horace gestured toward the monitors, still blacked out. Your actions, your prejudice, were captured in more than footage. Witnesses, complaints, and even internal reports have been collected over the years. You think erasing a few minutes on camera hides your attitude? It's all here. And today, it becomes public. Mia held her breath as the corporate executives shuffled nervously. The murmurs from customers turned into a tense silence. Horace didn't let anyone speak. He reached into his coat, pulling out the same velvet box from earlier. Inside, the founder's watch, pristine and symbolic, gleamed under the store lights. This watch, Horace said, holding it for all to see, represents more than luxury. It represents dignity, craftsmanship, integrity. And no one, not even the people guarding this building, gets to decide who deserves it based on skin color. Trevor's knees buckled slightly. Please. I didn't know. Horace's eyes softened, just slightly. And that's why you must learn. Actions have consequences. Words have consequences. And prejudice has consequences. The district manager cleared his throat. Sir, what would you like us to do? Horace smiled faintly, almost sadly. Everything must be set right. First, Trevor, your position here is terminated. Immediately. Second, we conduct a full review of every complaint related to discrimination over the past 5 years. And third, we ensure that our employees are trained to treat everyone with respect. Trevor's face turned redder than ever, shame and panic battling inside him. He opened his mouth, tried to protest, but no one listened. Even his fellow guards avoided his gaze. Mia felt a shiver run down her spine. She had never seen anyone command a room like Horace. Not with threats, not with anger, just with truth. Horace turned to her. And you, Mia, you did the right thing by speaking up. Courage isn't loud or flashy. Sometimes, it's just saying what's right when no one else will. Keep that in mind. This store needs more people like you. Mia nodded, tears prickling at her eyes. Thank you, Mr. Devlin. No need for formalities, he said. Call me Horace. He paused, looking around the store one last time. His eyes lingered on the portrait, the young man who had once dreamed of changing the world. And remember, he whispered softly, almost to himself, we built this place for more than money. Never forget that. At that moment, the store door opened again. But this time it wasn't a customer. It was someone from corporate, holding a folder labeled HR and Compliance. Horace walked over, opened it, and began reviewing the documents. Mia followed, curious but cautious. Trevor, now isolated and trembling, was escorted out quietly by another guard. Hours passed. Witness statements were taken. Footage from other cameras was restored. And slowly, the truth of Trevor's actions came to light. Everything from harassment reports to complaints from black customers who had been ignored, mocked, or physically pushed out over the years. Horace stood in the center of the store, watching it all unfold. Each file, each testimony, felt like pieces of a puzzle being set right. And the portrait behind him, the one Trevor had ignored, finally seemed to glow under the store lights, not just as decoration, but as a symbol of justice restored. Finally, Horace turned to the district manager. Make sure every employee attends sensitivity training. And make it mandatory. People like Trevor may be gone, but their influence lingers if we don't act. The manager nodded frantically. Yes, sir. Absolutely, sir. Horace looked back at Mia. And remember, one act of courage can change everything. Today, you all witnessed the difference between silence and truth. Never underestimate your voice. The store had changed. The energy shifted from tense fear to cautious hope. Customers who had been shocked began browsing again, but this time, differently. They seemed aware, respectful, perhaps learning. As Horace finally walked toward the exit, the staff watched silently. His posture was regal, calm, unstoppable. And just before leaving, he turned once, looked at Trevor's empty space, and whispered, almost to himself, "Justice isn't about punishment. It's about balance. And balance has finally returned." Outside, the sun was beginning to set. Horace stepped out onto the sidewalk, cane in hand now, not because he needed it, but because it marked his dignity. Each step was deliberate, each breath measured. Mia followed from inside, feeling a sense of awe she had never experienced before. She realized she had witnessed something rare, a man confronting not just a single act of racism, but the entire system that allowed it. And he did it with integrity. Trevor, meanwhile, sat alone in a coffee shop several blocks away. His phone buzzed incessantly with emails from HR, the district manager, and corporate. Each message was a hammer, each notification a reminder of what he had done. The humiliation was total. The realization clear. No amount of excuses could erase the truth. And somewhere deep inside him, fear settled. Not fear of losing a job. Fear of never being trusted again. Fear of the reality he had ignored for so long. Back in the store, Horace's portrait, now fully recognized, fully honored, seemed to radiate warmth, as if the building itself acknowledged the correction. Mia, standing quietly behind the counter, whispered to herself, "I hope more people see this, see him, see what respect really looks like." Horace Devlin disappeared into the evening, but his presence lingered everywhere. The watches, the counters, the walls, the people. And in that lingering presence was a message louder than any words could carry. Dignity, respect, and courage always have their moment. Boys. And for the first time in years, the Lorien Devlin Luxury Group felt like it belonged to the world. Not just the privileged, not just the entitled, but to everyone. Because sometimes, the smallest act of disrespect can awaken a storm. And when that storm is righteous, justice follows. Did you see how one act of disrespect turned into a lesson no one will forget? Tell me in the comments, have you ever witnessed someone get what they deserved? And don't forget, subscribe to Residential Stories.